Linear fusion rifles. Which frame is better for PvE, and how different are they? In this series we will look to the heavy weapons, and try to answer that exact question. So let's find out. Linears have an interesting place in the game, as the only precision heavy weapon, having the second highest crit multiplier in the game, only just beaten by sniper rifles, after their recent rebalance in this season's mid-season patch. So let's take a look at the options, as I only have two options right now. First up, aggressive frames. Examples: for Stasis we have Fire and Forget, which is a craftable from Season 19. For Strand, none available at time of recording. For Arc, we have Storm Chaser from Duality Dungeon. For Solar, we have Briar's Contempt from the Root of Nightmares raid. And for Void, also none available at time of recording. A 3-burst slower firing frame. They have the same charge time as the other frames, but the time it takes for the burst to finish and the next shot to charge is much longer in comparison to a single shot. Precision frames, examples are: for Stasis, Reed's Regret from Trials. For Strand, Laser Painter from Gambit. For Arc, Sail Spy Pitch Glass, a craftable from Season 18. For Solar, Cataclysmic from Vow the Disciple raid. For Void, Taipan 4FR, a world drop. Faster firing, single shot, great for landing precision hits at range. A quick request: a like on the video goes a huge way to help the channel, and it's free, so if you can, it would be massively appreciated. Right, let's take a look at how they compare. First up, let's look at the reserves. The default values of how many rounds come in reserve, and how this plays into stored damage. A good stat to consider if not wanting to worry about finding ammo bricks, and just concentrate on using the weapon itself. It's a little odd here, as slower firing weapons tend to have less ammo, but the aggressive frame manages to get away with having the same reserves on average than the precision frame, the faster firing option, and this shows greatly here, that the aggressive frames are slipping past hoping not to get noticed, with an over 30% difference here going to the aggressives. Right, let's take a look at the damage outputs. Here is the raw data. For those who are new here, this is a DPS value during firing, and not thinking about the average reload times or magazine sizes, so a peak DPS output of the frame. Raw average is the average damage between body and crit. As a bit of a difference compared to any other weapon family, which the faster firing normally takes the top spot, the slower firing aggressives actually take the top spot here, by around 5%. I've pulled the single shot average here too, and we can see why. Aggressives getting a 32% advantage over the precisions is wild. Next, let's look at the damage when taking into account the average reloads and magazine sizes. With the magazine sizes being identical and the reload almost as well, aggressives really run away with all the top spots, as they manage a 21% lead here, comfortably. Linears have some of the highest crit multipliers in the game, and really show what this weapons family is for. It is the sniper of the heavy weapons. Incredibly important to be sure that you land your shots. And pair it with Divinity, it really allows it to show off what it can do when landing all crits. Right, what am I going to do with this data? I don't think anyone is surprised by my pick of aggressive frames being my go-to pick. It just wins in every category by a significant margin. Only time I'd even start to consider the precision is if the target is really far away, and hitting consistent headshots is a struggle. But with options like Divinity in the game, that's not really gonna happen. Aggressives are just stronger. If I was to throw an option for retuning to make precision frames relevant again, maybe dialing back the crit multiplier on the aggressives and increase on the precisions, playing into its role as a long-range precision heavy that is reliant on landing your shots. Whereas aggressives still are, but not as much as precision frames. Just my thoughts anyway. So these are my main picks. For Stasis, Fire and Forget, an aggressive frame. With options like Surplus in the left column, giving bonuses to reload and stability, it tightens up those bursts to make it easier to land all crits. Partnering this with either Focus Fury or Frenzy for damage bonuses is awesome. Maybe Vorpal, even though it's only 10%, but it's always active. On top of this, having Vice Stinger to occasionally give you rounds back mid DPS is never something to be dismissed. As for Strand, only one option here at the time of recording, and that's the Laser Painter, a precision. With options like Rapid Hit or Auto Loading in the third column, and Focus Fury or Vorpal in the fourth, and again has Vice Stinger as an origin perk. This has potential to be pretty good during Strand surges, but we're still waiting for an aggressive frame. Let's look at our choices for Arc. Here we have Storm Chaser from Duality Dungeon, the first of the aggressive frames to be introduced, with options like Rapid Hit and Auto Loading in the third column, and either Frenzy, Vorpal or Firing Line in the fourth column. Some really nice options here. And its origin perk, Bitter Spite, gives a similar effect to Rapid Hit upon taking damage, increasing reload. For Solar, we have Briar's Contempt from the Root of Nightmares raid. Probably one of the best linears. Third column having options like Reconstruction, Rewind Rounds, Demolitionist, and fourth column getting options like Frenzy, Surrounded, Paracourse or Affinity, or Focus Fury. As craftable, it can fit most builds perfectly. And lastly, Void, the Taipan 4FR, a world drop. Again, another Viced weapon, so Vice Stinger landing here is always good. For the third column, we have options like Triple Tap or Clown Cartridge. And in the fourth column, we have options like Focus Fury, Frenzy, or Firing Line. So these are my picks. What are yours? This is the second episode of the Heavy Weapon series, where we're going to be covering and comparing all the frames within the heavy weapon families. We have already covered primaries and special weapons, so if you're curious you can find them on the channel. So what did you think of the results? Is there a favourite linear that you have? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm always happy to speak with people there, so come and say hi. Thank you so much for watching, and if this helped you in any way, a like goes a long way to be able to support the channel. And subscribe if you want to keep up to date on the Destiny sandbox. As always, stay safe, and never let your tea go cold.